Good evening, Blood Bowl fans, and welcome back to another episode of Superfed TV Presents REBBL Action, covering the REL Divisions 1, 2, and 3. I'm your host, Superfed TV. Joining me today, I have two co-hosts. First up, we have our usual Rumblebee. He was able to stumble onto the cast. Hello, Rumblebee.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
And a former Div 1 player has also joined us, who's currently residing in the lower trenches of 9A. We have Shooty.
Shooty!
How's it going, Shooty?
I'm real salty right now, but we can talk about someone else having a bad game, so that'll make me feel better.
Okay, that's good. That's good. And for those of you that don't know Shooty, why don't you say your full name so they can recognize you?
In the coach list, you'll see me in Twitch on occasion. I'm DasShootenheime. I used to play a really, really mean Norse team, and then they Norsed. So I played goblins for a while, and now I'm playing orcs, and nothing is going well.
I was telling Rumblebee I'm very proud to be the last coach that you played, and my orcs did what they do to Norse teams, except for D's.
That's you. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, that was good.
Come on.
That was good.
Come
It was a fun game.
Behave, guys. Behave.
It was in spins too,
Yeah.
back when spins were a thing. Like you
Yeah.
voluntarily played my orcs.
I fear no one in spins, and I dealt with the consequences by taking my ball and going home.
About right. It's about right. All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump into it. So starting off with Division 3, here is your Division 3 intro. All right, and welcome back, everybody. So week 5 had a couple of interesting matches. I caught some of them for Division 3, and I can talk about those. I don't know if I actually did any replay videos. I'll have to look as I'm going through and see if I remember doing any of those. But first up, we had your Lizard Aerie versus Felwith Codadal. This is a Lizard versus High Elf match. And we've covered both these teams on the replay videos. Your Lizard Aerie coached by Sukari, as he corrected me on how his name is pronounced, and Not for Science, coach of Felwith Codadal. This one ended 2-1 for the Lizards, and there was some Lizard-saurus ball handling that occurred in order to get that 2-1 win, and a dodge as well on turn 16. So, you know, casual source pickup, casual source dodge. I think we've all been there once. Credit it. 54 blocks for the Lizards, 36 for the Elves, and numbers for removals are actually pretty close. So I'm guessing they hunted some skinks. Did either of you guys play Sukari?
I played Sukari a lot back in Div 1.
Yeah. What was your impression?
He was all lizards all the time. He was part of the big he was a big part of the reason the REL was initially the Reptilian Eternal League.
Nice.
Way back in the day, from Blood Bowl Chaos Edition even. He played them a lot. He's solid, he knows what to do, and it's very, very tough because he's good at protecting these skinks. So
yeah. It's
and also he gets, lucky casual source picks ups and dodges when he needs to.
Yeah, he's doing well this season so far. Moving on to something that Rumblebee knows all about, the Necromantic Newbies. Taking on the Midsummer Nightmares, and they got a 1-0 default win. It looks like Duke N was unable to play this week. That's just the default win.
Yeah.
TeamSpeak Crew version 4, the Puck Stop Chaos Dwarves, who were on top. They were in first place. And then they played pro in a party. And the the pro elves rather, Soul, did some disgusting things. 47 blocks. And 7 removals isn't super great, but I'm guessing all those blocks would have been on kickoff returns, because 4 touchdowns is kind of a lot.
Yeah, 4 touchdowns, but only 12% ball possession.
Yeah, he must not have been able to pick up the ball, which can happen on Chaos Dwarves. Actually, let me just look at the rolls and see.
No, the elves only had 12% ball possession.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, the pickups were 25%, so that's part of the issue for sure. 6 failures, 2 successes for the Chaos Dwarves. So 2 of those touchdowns, the Chaos Dwarves never even picked up the ball. So yeah, that's bad. Moving on to Lebowski Urban Achievers. They got a 2-2 draw against Pantheon Passers of T-Self. Lebowski Urban Achievers. Walter picking up the touchdown there.
Moranian. I hate Moranian. If anybody had
Star
to watch
player.
if anyone has ever watched my Chaos Cup salty explosion when having to deal with Moranian, they'll understand. Strength 4, agility 4 shouldn't be a thing. Vampire shouldn't be a thing. Moranian shouldn't be a thing. I hate Moranian. That's the end of my haiku.
It could be worse. It could be Griff. So it's not Griff at least. All right. And we had Cinnabite the Curb, coached by Drunkernaut, taking on Tribute Urbana. And Hipster took that one 3-1. Again, 58 blocks this time. So, wow, that's a lot of removals too. 9 removals to the 22 blocks of the Pro Elves, but just able to make those plays, passes, and touchdowns.
2 Kaz on the Claw Palmer. Or, no, he's Palm Jump Up.
Yes.
Oh, how awful.
Yes. No claw needed on that Chaos Warrior. Which I can't say you see very often. And we also had 1-2 win for Murder, or actually no, I got that wrong. Murder's Row takes their first loss of the season against Revenge of the Franks. Rengen's Orcs beating the hell out of these Necro with 20 armor breaks on 61 blocks. Only 9, well, not only 9 KOs, but only 1 casualty inflicted for the Orcs. So that's just the bell getting rung.
It's nice because you get the removals, but it's just not nearly as satisfying. It's almost worse than getting stuns if you get so many KOs and no Kaz. It makes my heart hurt for these poor Arcs who aren't able to finish the job, much like mine.
It happens. I think Rumblebee is also known to complain about the occasional KO, but we'll get more of that. Let's see. Finally, we had Scooby and the gang taking on Tooth and Fist and the Necro Mirror, of which there are oh so many this season. Scooby and the gang with 20 armor breaks themselves out of 60 blocks. Like Tooth and Fist was set up to receive Tooth and Fist, and
That's how Claw rolls.
They got a lot of Tooth and a lot of Fist. So that's where we're at. Let's take a look at the leaderboard. Rengen has now moved into first place with Murderer's Row taking that loss. And this is also after 1 match played this week. So they're tied technically with Hipster. Hipster just hasn't played yet. And then behind them in Murderer's Row, we have Lebowski's Urban Achievers. So that's actually impressive. The Chaos is making a move up the ladder. There's really there's a big lump of Chaos and Nurgle teams in Divisions 3 and 4 that are all just high TV, got a lot of skills. They don't lose a lot of players. They do a lot of damage, but they don't usually win a lot of games. And so they don't ever move up and out of Divisions, 3 and 4, get up to Division 2 or 1. But it's good to see Sherdog is starting to climb a little bit out of the pile. Possibly move up and forward, maybe even make the playoffs, so that's good. Middle of the road, we've got Elves and a bunch of Necro. And it looks like, actually, Elves are getting the worst of the Elf versus Necro war here. With Midsummer Nightmares and Last. Thoth Coated Doll at 1-1 and 3. And there's Cenobite the Curb also at the bottom. Any thoughts on any of these teams? Any bold early mid-season predictions from you guys?
Next week, well, I guess this week now, it's gonna be kind of a big game. You have 2 and 3 looking to fight it out, and since we know it goes head to head, this could be, this is a huge game for Murderers Row, and it's definitely almost as big for Tribu Urbana if he wants to.
Tribu Urbana has what's the TD differential, so he's gonna have his little edge there. But yeah, if it gets down to points for those playoff spots, but yeah,
sometimes AV7's gonna AV7 though.
Yeah, well, and this is a matchup that I've already requested that if it doesn't, well, even if it gets streamed, I'm probably going to replay it because I just love watching Hipster play Elf defense. He plays it so well. And the Necro coach, Doc M, was great in the playoffs and probably one of the better Necro coaches in the league. So I'm really curious to see how that head-to-head turns out. Pantheon Passers versus Cenobite and Pro in the Party, so both the other Pro Elf teams are taking on Chaos at the same time, and I'm probably going to pick the Pro Elves to do nasty things in both those matches. And another Lizard versus Necro match for Tsukari. We'll see if he can take that one.
That'll be, once that claw, if that claw starts working right, Tsukari could tumble, but that'll be an interesting game.
And I don't want to peek too far ahead, but you guys can also give your condolences to Travel Scrabble, who's the coach of Scooby and the gang. They lost to Palm Wolf, no big deal. So you can start a support group, Rumble. Easy come, easy go, right, Rumble?
Yeah, easy come. Didn't take me 3 seasons to build mine or anything. No big deal.
Yeah.
I'm not salty. It hasn't ruined my entire season.
Get your support group going, and I'm sure you'll have a few more attendees by the end of the season.
God, I hope so.
Hate My Hair is still just clinging on with that niggle. That's going to do it for... Oh, go ahead. Sorry, what's that?
If I can't have a Palm Wolf, nobody can have a Palm Wolf.
That's the rule. Be your slogan and bumper sticker. We'll keep you to that. I don't think anyone else other than those Necro coaches would object. So, that's the right one. And pick on 2 of the teams. And since, let's see, I've already talked about the Orcs. I was going to talk about...
Midsummer Nightmares?
They were missing a game this
Midsummer.
week. Yeah. So
Midsummer Nightmares is probably going to drop from the league. I have to issue him. I have to issue him a strike.
That's a shame.
We don't know for sure that they're going to drop yet, but we're waiting to hear back from them. So that's a TBD on that one. Let's go ahead and pop on over to. Gosh, who have we not covered yet?
Murderers Row we talked about. Revenge of the Franks, yeah, we talked about him.
Let's look at Murderers Row. I don't think I've actually looked at this team, and we know it's doing extremely well. So first off, we've got a couple werewolves. One of them with the standard Mighty Blow. He got first level, which is always nice. Speeds up that leveling, and then block tackle, followed by dodge. So he's probably realizing that dodging out after rolling double pushes is kind of core to his life. And
just stop. Just stop.
That's good. That's good.
Interesting choice on the Dauntless Zombie, Handsome Tim. Really, I mean, personally, I cycle zombies a lot if they don't get a double like their first 2 skills. But a Dauntless Zombie, that can be really, really annoying, which I suppose is fun in its own way.
It's definitely a bloaty Necro team, and a lot of the TV is shifted towards the bottom half of the screen. You've got pretty much naked white.
Zombie.
Yeah, the 100k zombie with no doubles or stats, and then a couple guard zombies, which are really nice, and one of them is just 1 Kaz away from getting blocked and being killed. Because Your zombies never survive after they get more than one skill. And one of them's guard. Couple dirty players. Yeah, that
I like
part's
dirty
good.
player. I like dirty player a lot. Maybe block kick, but really, if you want kick, you just like put it on a zombie. But Necro has so many players that they need on the field that you generally only have 3 linemen, and they're all trash, garbage zombies. So, I mean, it's an interesting choice. It's clearly viable. It's working for him, but
He's
you're paying your zombie
definitely not
more
using
per
2
game than your
goals.
white.
So yeah, he's not using 2 goals, so he does field 4 zombies. That way he's always got. Well, you're still. I mean, I guess the kicker's only going to be on defensive drives, so you have 1 dirty player there, and then he's counting on a Kaz, and he's going to have probably a send off. That's where he's getting his, potential value there. But yeah, it's definitely a full roster, and it's got some bloat if he ever wants to trim down. But in this division, there's so many elves that are playing at high TV anyway that it hasn't hurt him, I don't think. The matchup that he did lose was against Rengen, who's got bloaty orcs, so I don't know that inducements would have made a difference there. Yeah, it's an interesting one for sure.
I think he's got too many zombies. I mean, he's got 14 players. I'd like to see him at like 13, maybe.
Yeah, I would not hate if he just flat out fired the kicker, and that trims him down 100 TV right there. And just get a bribe instead of that kicker.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't really know if he's doing too much to capitalize on the kick. Against elves, kick doesn't really come into play all that much.
Elves, well, kick is actually better against elves than it is against like bashy teams, in my opinion. Because elves are just going to pick up the ball. They might as well successfully pick up the ball and be forced to, be somewhere around where you want them.
I really, really like the option of being able to kick it deep against a bash team that's slower, and then you can kind of cut behind them. But I don't see him doing that with his wolves. I mean, he's not playing aggressively with the wolves. He's going to be keeping them deep anyway, so that's why I think kick is just such an important skill for like a high movement team. But Necro aren't really a high movement team. They've got 2 high movement or 3 high play or 4 pools. High movement players, but their high movement players are ones that you don't want to get punched ever. So you're not running them back into your opponent's backfield unless everything else is tied up. So I don't know. It's a good discussion though on kick. I like that. Let's see. One other team that we can talk about. I think we talked about both the Chaos teams already. Have we covered the High Elves? Rumblebee? Did we talk about shadowing?
We talk about shadowing every week because Ornan had shadowing. But no, I don't think we've covered the High Elves yet.
All right, let's go ahead and look at the High Elves, and you guys can count with me how many doubles they have. They lost a Agi 5 guard piece, I believe, as well. So this is the reduced stat ups in doubles High Elf team. They've got, we'll skip the blitzers for now. So they've got 2 throwers, first of all, which you don't see every day, and especially as developed as they are. They bought one on the market, and it's Blodge Step, Sure Hands. And then they've got a cannon with strong arm accurate, Sure Hands, dodge, and I'm sure he's going for block or kickoff return next. His catcher, he's only got 1 catcher, but it's movement busted. It has Mighty Blow, block, tackle, and dodge. And he's also 1 SPP away from leveling, it looks like.
I'm almost just toss him.
The movement
really
busted
would.
one?
Yeah, I really would. I give that strong consideration. Because elves are going to elf, and if you have a fresh one who's, 20, 40, 60 TV lower, and that can make all the difference for,
I don't know.
if that's the difference of a wizard, an elf's going to do an elf thing.
There's a lot of things I would fire before a Mighty Blow tackle elf, but the movement bust isn't that bad because he's still movement 7. So I mean, he doesn't.
Yeah.
If
Turn him into a blitzer, I suppose.
Exactly. If you're just 2-turning, because you're not going to be one turning unless you get something crazy. So if you're just two turning, you don't need any GFIs with movement 7. That's sufficient. I would like to see a second catcher, I think, definitely, but I've talked to this coach. I've seen him chat in Discord. He likes the AV8 more than the AV7 with 8 movement.
Yeah.
And so, and it's to his credit, although this season's not going that great for him, but it has worked for him in the past. He's got some very well developed line elves that probably wouldn't have been in this case if they were AV7s. So, 3 guard pieces. One of them is Blodge. One of them's 1 touchdown away from Blodge. And another one's 1 touchdown away from either Wrestle Dodge or, I don't know, something maybe
Guard
considered
can do amazing
Leap?
things on an elf team.
Maybe Leap with that Wrestle Guard. That'd be cool.
Leap
doesn't
him into
he have
some
Leap?
cages.
He's got
he
a
has
Agi
Leap
5
on
Wrestle
Wrestler.
Leap. That is
Yeah.
also 1 touchdown away from either tackle or strip ball. So there's 4 players right there that are 1 touchdown away from getting really, really good.
That should absolutely be strip ball.
Probably.
Strip ball is going to do the same thing as tackle.
Except, better because it'll work on a push.
Yeah. I don't know how much sure hands there is in this division. There's a lot of elves. There's a lot of necro. There's probably not a whole lot of sure hands, so you're probably right. Because those 2 teams don't usually get sure hands. At least they don't usually carry with sure hands on the elf side. And on necro, it's usually on a ghoul. So, yeah. It's a tough choice, I think. I could make the case for wrestle or for tackle, and then getting strip ball at like 76 if you live that long. But because tackle will help you in more situations if you've got guard in there too, and it's a 2-die.
If nothing else, throw a pass to see if he gets doubles again. Because I'd almost do it just to be hilarious if you had a movement 7, movement busted AV7 tackle Palmer.
Oh, I know. that yeah. If that catcher gets palm for a double next, yeah, they'll be sick. And then he's also got a strength 4 one, which he could turn into a frenzy piece or even just a roadblock. I think is pretty cool. So this is a really good, clean high elf team with a lot of bloat because of all the doubles they've got. And then we haven't even talked about the blitzer. So the blitzer with Blodge, Step, Shadowing has been actually used pretty amazingly against the werewolves. So against any time a frenzy piece blocks him, he can sidestep and then shadow the piece that blocked him, and they basically do-si-do and trade places, and then he does it again. And so
that does not sound aggravating at all.
it's so great. And so against one of the necro teams I saw a couple weeks ago, he's put this guy on the line of scrimmage, and the werewolf chain pushed him. He took the werewolf spot, and then he went backwards again. So he was 3 squares into the enemy's pitch, and now he, forced the blitz onto the guy. Again, doesn't get knocked down. So now he's 4 squares into the enemy's pitch, and they have to basically cage around him in order to stop him from getting the ball. It was awesome. But
That sounds like a good idea.
I know, but when I'm saying this, I'm like, I wish I could do that, but it's movement 7, so that's why Shadowing's decent on it. As soon as you get hit with tackle, though, he's obviously going to go down, and that's not going to be that great. And he doesn't have any threat once he marks the ball because he doesn't have diving tackle. So I think it could get better. I think Shadowing was probably just too early of a pick. I think if it was diving tackle, then Shadowing, it would be really strong.
Well, diving tackle and shadowing sort of almost cancel each other out. I mean, you do get the option to use it, but it's just not necessarily what I'd almost pick in that kind of a situation.
Oh, I would say it works if they succeed the dodge. So say they forget about diving tackle.
Yeah, then you choose to shadow.
Right, then you shadow, and then you get a second
okay,
chance
yeah.
at them failing the diving tackle. It could work, but yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, usually I'd say shadowing is poor man's diving tackle if you've got tackle on your piece and you're just following them around. But they could all synergize as well. So I'm curious to see where this goes and if it actually lives that long because, well, you're elves. And you can't plan too far ahead when you're playing elves because they die a lot.
Some of them are armor 8.
Yeah. Well, that one especially. I would, if I was playing him though, I would just try and kill his thrower, because that's the only thing that really makes the high elves suck. Just ask ArchXL. All right, let's go ahead and move on to Division 2 with your Div 2 intro. Week 5, the Oil Miners took on Lords of Decay, and the Rats were able to get their vengeance upon the Oil Miners. For those of you that don't know, these two teams started against each other several seasons back, and the Oil Miners destroyed the Rats, killing several of them. And they tried their best to do that again today, or this week, but 45 blocks, only 4 Kaz, not enough to slow down at least the Maya, whose one-turner is definitely coming into their own here. 27 armor breaks and only 4 Kaz is actually feels bad, man. That is not that good for the orc or for the dwarfs.
Especially against Skaven, you really
Right.
expect a lot more.
Right? I mean,
Go into that game and you slowly get angrier and angrier. Like,
Yeah.
more angry than usual, since you're always going to be angry since you're playing Blood Bowl.
I mean, if you're just thinking about it, 27 armor breaks, half of those, so that should be 14 removals. Not all those Kaz, obviously, some KOs, but I mean, you want to see a lot more removals than just whatever was there. So yeah, a lot of stuns. Communist Frat Party lost 0-1 against Straight Up Flatulence. I caught this one. Stubbings did a really good job of just really choking the humans into the sideline, where he had the option to leap surf, but he didn't do it. But he just forced the humans to make really tough agility 3 plays, and they couldn't pull it off to score. And there was also a death as well. It was a sizable one. I forget which one it was for the communists. So they are having a harder time in Division 2 than they would have liked, but they're still hanging in there.
I also don't know that Charles Cornwallis was a communist. I mean, he was a British general in the Revolutionary War. Communism wasn't really a thing. He very well might have been.
He was a free thinker, I'm sure.
Yeah. This is just what happens when you speculate. You get injured.
I love it. Iron Madden, coached by Gengar, took on Please Don't Murder Me, coached by Luke Sama. And this one's a little bit surprising to me. Usually against elves, we see Gengar's game plan kind of goes to crap, and he just ignores the ball after a certain point of time and gets armor breaks. Well, this time he didn't ignore the ball, and he hogged it like a fat kid on cake. And
This
had
is
it
what
for
happens when you,
the whole game.
you know, when you tease Gengar enough and he pays attention to the ball, bad things happen to you, as opposed to the other bad things that will happen to you when Gengar doesn't pay attention to the ball.
Speaking of armor breaks not doing what they're supposed to, 19 armor breaks, 6 removals. That's better, I guess.
It's not awful, yeah.
Yeah.
It's less than Gengar
1
would
in
like.
3. Yeah,
I
it's
can
less than
guarantee
Gengar would like for sure. Only 3
still-
Kaz out of 19
so
armor
fif-
breaks. That's pretty rough.
It's a 50% armor break ratio, though, because he only had 40 blocks.
But that's not counting fouls. And we all 3 know how often Gengar's fouling here.
Yeah, dice rolls. Where are the fouls?
Only 1 send off, so he probably got a little lucky there.
Yeah.
They don't capture the fouls.
Ugh.
Cyanide doesn't care about
Crime.
fouls. The fact that they don't have fouls on the stat sheet is so dumb.
It's criminal.
For players individually, you should know how many fouls there are. Ace Trucking Company lost 1-4 against Mennonites. Just a bad week to be a Chorf. The Chorfs we talked last week about how the Chorfs are doing so well and on top, and this is another elf just laying into the Chorfs and making them look very silly. Although this one's even better because these Wood Elves, 32 blocks to 37 from the Chorfs. What did you do wrong? I'm guessing that guard was not used the way it's supposed to be used. If anything.
I suppose. Or if anything, he just had to base up. Because that was the only way he was going to be able to get in there.
But if you're basing up with guard correctly, you're not getting outblocked by Wood Elves who have no guard.
Yeah.
What else is there that I could see that could explain this? Oh, I found it. You're making first action pickups, and you're succeeding on 1 out of 7 pickups.
Oh, that'll do it.
So, first of all, make blocks before you pick up when you're Chorfs. Just make sure you have the ball protected. And goddamn, 1 out of 7 pickups. That is terrible.
I mean, maybe he was forced into it. Maybe they managed some shallow kicks. I mean, I didn't watch the game.
Roll Agi
But if it's
up.
shallow kicks, you'd almost... roll Agi up. That's, get good.
Roll Agi up. That is all I have to say. Sorry, man. That was... Sorry, Quicks. That's bad. I know Rumblebee's cheering that one on, but that was...
No. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're not fooling anyone here with that one. Non-anime sports team with a 3-3 draw against Trikundo. And this is an elf-on-elf match where, guess what happened at the very end? Arch XL's thrower died. Wah, wah, wah. That is, I think, Arch's 5th thrower in 3 seasons. So
Wood Elf's gonna Wood Elf.
He's high elves.
Well,
Elf's gonna Elf.
yeah,
They all
elf's
look
gonna
the same to me.
elf, but high elves especially, when their throwers die, it is a tragedy because the only reason they're playing high elves in the first place is so they can throw the ball. If they didn't care about throwing the ball, they wouldn't be playing high elves. We've got Cheese Tactics taking on the Booze Cruise in the rematch of the 84, the match that started the meme that became the dream. The Cheese took the defeat. And the answer was 23 blocks. Well, guess what? It turns out when you're Cheese and you get made fun of for giving up 84 blocks in a game, you decide that you're going to go the opposite direction and go way, way hard and only make 23 blocks to limit your opponent to 34. So slashed 50 right off those blocks there. What's interesting, though, is, well, no, nothing else about this is interesting. Let's move on. Not FDA approved. Took on Leafy Mustard and lost 1-2. Zoot. Looks like he,
There's an interception.
an interception.
cool.
That is interesting and cool. Probably on a source or a croc score would be my guess. Let me see the SPP.
It's always funnier when that happens.
Oh yeah, Croc's interceptions are great.
Uh,
Because then you just bonehead the next 3 turns trying to hand off to somebody else.
oh yeah. Oh no, you run it in, and then on turn 8.
Well, if you
bonehead.
ran
Turn
it in,
16.
you would have succeeded the bonehead roll. But because you don't have the balls to run it in and you're trying to hand off, that's why he's boneheading.
Always TD with Crocs.
Yeah.
I've never seen the Crocs touchdown animation. I'd like to see that. Grazoot, make that happen for me. Calling you out, man.
Get on that, Gazoot. Right away.
Can promise you extra points on the leaderboard. I can't actually promise that.
I promise I'll play in your division eventually if you do that.
Let's go ahead and take a look at Gazoot's
Well,
team.
if you stayed in Division 2, I can pretty much promise you'll play in his division as well next season.
I'm going to the baby division. I'm going to the baby divisions.
Coward.
Yeah, we can't hope for a Rumble Cheese off. That's not going to happen. So taking a look at Leafy Mustard, coached by Gazoot. This team's been around a long time. So long that I think I've talked about this strip ball Saurus more than I can count. I don't know. It's been a lot.
Oh god, he does have a strip ball source.
I've talked about that strip ball Saurus for 3 seasons now. I'm over it. And it just won't die. So you know,
And
there's
a
that.
move 10 skink.
Move 10 skink.
Because
That's the recent addition
God is
here,
dead.
and that does suck to play against. To be honest with you, because unless you've got, I think 5 tackle is the magic number. He's gonna more likely than not succeed on that touchdown.
Assuming he can get the ball to him.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that is counterplay. You got to be able to get the ball there. He doesn't have catch, so he does have to reroll that there. Kick would be helpful against this team for sure. Source-wise, though, he liked what he saw when 130 went the bashy route, and so he has traded guard for Mighty Blow. And it's been okay for him. I don't think he has the same Kaz dies that 130 had last season, but it's getting him some development. And then it looks like he's had to cycle a couple Saurus, getting some fresh ones on here. I don't remember hand ground previously. And then, of course, we can't not ignore the very, very large and imposing elephant in the room, Dark Honey, which is a Bloxigor that is now a Blodgigor with strength up. So if he ever does get to break tackle...
Stand firm.
Oh, I would say break tackle next, man. Is that thing cage diving on a 3+?
Yeah. Well, anytime you cage dive, he's gonna bonehead.
But he's got the tail too, so even if he doesn't knock you over, if he's on your ball carrier, and then you get diving tackle on the other side.
It's about getting into the cage. Like any blitz into the cage automatically becomes a bonehead.
Maybe. Maybe.
That's why his next level, when he rolls doubles again, he's
pro.
Gonna take pro.
Yeah. I would get tackle at that point. Since you've already got a cage diving Crocs. If you've got block and tackle and you're cage diving on a big guy, that'd be so sick. Anyway, yeah, that's the craziest piece on this team for sure. Movement 10 skinks are nice and all, and gonna win you all the games, but the memes of the strength 6 Blodge Croxigor are something else. God. Yeah. Killed one of my Black Orcs last season.
I don't have to worry about him.
Yep, and then guest host choice. Which other team would you like to talk about here, Shooty?
Let's see. Well, there's always love for Horny Cricket and the Necronomics.
That's Div 1.
Oh, it is. You're right. Oh, no wonder I had so much trouble finding them. Well, it backs out and it backs out to Div 1s.
I know what you're doing. I know. I do that too.
I actually did watch Robin Hood Men in Tights the other day, and that makes me happy.
I actually watched that the other day with my wife too. I made my wife watch it because Mel Brooks comedies, not usually.
6 War Dancer always makes me happy.
Yeah. Guess what? He lost a
scary thrower too.
He lost a War Dancer, so that's fresh. So fresh and so clean. Robin Jr.
He is a great thrower.
Yeah. Strong arm accurate. Oh, this is just like the high elf one. It's actually identical, but because he doesn't start with safe throw, he's got one more level. So that is a very, very strong thrower with no niggle, no injury of any kind.
We also have the block break tackle pro tree man.
Yeah, you can't quite fit all the skills onto the screen. He's got so many things, but with 2 doubles, it's about as efficient of a tree as you can get. I think it's actually the best tree in the league. At this point, I think it's safe to say that with both block and pro, break, tackle, guard, and grab. And since it already has stand firm, strong arm, mighty blow, thick skull, there's not a lot of other strength skills that you can get, so you kind of needed the double in order to make it work. I guess you could get multi-block. Don't get
or
multi-block.
Agility up.
I mean, I guess you could with the right tackle.
You can't be Agility 3
dodge.
if you don't jump to Agility 2 first.
Yeah, right.
I think he looked at dodge. I think he considered dodge over the pro at one point. But I like the choice to go with pro over dodge here.
Yeah, because you can pro your regular rolls.
Right.
Your
If it was movement 3 and he had, break tackle and all the other stuff, then I would say take dodge. But, pro being able to re-roll the stand-up and pro being able to re-roll the take root and the blocks.
Yeah, what a Crocs or an Ogre like boneheading or a Troll going really stupid, like it sucks. It's not nearly as devastating if like the Tree Man goes take root in like turn 1.
Yeah.
You're screwed.
Yeah, so I agree. I like the pro a lot. Not a lot of attrition on this team as far as like perms that you're living with. You've got a movement bust, which is no big deal on both the lineman and on the War Dancer. And War Dancer movement busts do suck, don't get me wrong. But they're not as bad as Nichols or armor busts. I mean, they're still playable with 6 movement or 7 movement. Wait, that's a double. Oh man, I was trying to say that it's movement 7 still, but no, this one's double
movement 6.
movement busted. Okay, that is unplayable. You need to replace that as soon as possible. And so the interesting note here is that he's so close to spiraling expenses at 1720 TV that it's going to be hard for him to keep cycling and replacing things. It's a weird spot for Wood Elves to be at. If you go any higher, you're not going to have enough cash to replace things when they die. But at the same point, you want to level up everything as fast as you can. And
You also can't afford to replace anything
right,
yet.
right. So there's always the chance of you creating a death spiral because your TV was too high, which is always a weird thing. But that's happening to more and more teams at these higher TVs. The only thing we haven't talked about though is the catchers, and the catchers are all actually pretty good. The most basic one is just Blodge Step. You've got a Nerves of Steel one that you're close to leveling, which is an interesting double choice. It works. You certainly got a passing team, so since you've got that really good thrower, having Nerves is nice. But it just makes him a really big target, and maybe that's what he wants. And then the best catcher is the Agi 5 Block Leap. So I like that one a lot as a scoring threat, and having the Nerves of Steel one on the other side of the pitch means that you can, only blitz one, and the other one is going to be just as likely to catch and score. Last thing we'll talk about is his record
Also,
this season.
Finishes a whole lot of dodges when you attempt a 1-turn, which is super useful.
Yeah, exactly. Being able to leap on the 1-turn is so huge. 3-0-2 the record for the season. I had picked him to do very well so far. Div 2 is looking to be a bit of a tight race.
Yeah, it's very close right now. I like it.
Not as close as last season's was, but still very, very close. You got 3-2-0 at the top. 2-2-2 gets you 7th place. And 2-1-2 is 10th. So the only couple that are really out of it at this point, Luke Sama's already played this week, and he's at 1-0-5. 4 games
Gengar's
back.
yet to play. He could rise at the top of the table. Then again, so could Ace Trucking Company.
Yeah, and Ace Trucking Company was at the top before last week's match, so I would expect them to continue winning. I think they're well seated here. They got their hoop pushed in a little bit by Wood Elves, so that can happen occasionally. Yeah, my prediction was still Quicks and Slightly Bent and Stubings, I believe. And all 3 of them are right next to each other at 3, 4, and 5. Gengar is definitely out-punching what we predicted, but now that he's got 4 strength ups, I guess it can't be that big of a surprise. And the block tackle Tomb Guardian, which is just stupidly good. So yeah, his team's amazing. I guess at this point, it's going to be a surprise with what's it going to take to knock Gengar out of the playoffs, especially if he's beating Elves. That's, I guess, the big sign that Gengar is probably not going anywhere since he's already beating Elves when he's never been able to beat them in the past.
Yeah. Well, this is what happens when Gengar starts to care about the ball.
And then Booze Cruise dropped down from Division 1 last season. They've got quite the start, going 3-3-0, basically no losses yet. And so if you can force them to take a loss, that'll look really good, whoever's the first team to do that. Looking at next week's match, they've got They've already played straight up flatulence, so
Yep.
that could be a tiebreaker implication game. See, matches to watch. Oil Miners versus Men in Tights. Wood Elves got to beat Dwarves. That's always a challenge. Gengar's going to have some fun with playing with his food against Cheese. And that'll be the match, though. Quicks against Arch. They played against each other several times. I think Quicks got the best of them both times. Or maybe I'm just thinking of last season, so it's just one game. So Quicks won last season in the Ace Trucking Company versus Not an Anime Sports Team match. Since we are going to be down a thrower for Arch, I'm thinking he's going to have his work cut out for him, but there's always the chance that he can pull that upset. But that'll be a good match to watch. And I'll pick Not FDA Approved to come out on top of Communist Frat Party.
The Lords of Decay game looks pretty interesting.
Battle of the One-Turners, yeah.
Yeah, against Leafy Mustard.
I'll give that to the Rats.
Pretty beat up, so Leafy Mustard won't be getting the inducements he might actually have been kind of banking on.
I would still take Zoot on this one. I'm taking Zoot because the attrition game will probably eventually go his way. He's got 4 Mighty Blow on his team.
Yeah.
And the Line Rats are only going to last so long, would be my guess. And then once there's a gap, then there's not even any dodges for the one-turning skink. Versus, I don't see Kalisti's Rats doing a whole bunch to remove all the source that they're going to be there.
Yeah, his Palmer is out, so he has just 1 Mighty Blow.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, AG4. There's a lot of blodge. And there is not an overwhelming amount of tackle on Leafy Mustard. There's some, I think, but not. Yeah, there's just 2. If they can be tied up, granted, one's a block tackle, but if he can manage to tie up the tacklers, it's not going to be too great of a time.
Well, I'll let you pick Khaleesi Maya, and I'll take your Zoot. We'll see who gets that one. All right, let's go ahead and move on to Division 1, and I will be kicking off the intro here. All right, and Division 1 is finally getting their butt into gear, and we've actually played more than one match by Thursday, so that's great. Good job. maybe get all the games done before Sunday. That'd be nice. Skinky Island Boys took on Live Tree or Die Hard, and this was a battle for first place. Wave was in second. Live Tree or Die Hard was undefeated, and Skinky Island Boys got the upset. So Wave has come in and made waves in Division 1, taking some skulls.
It's a pretty scary team, too.
It is. I get them next week after Sace lightened my load. So we'll see how that plays out. But 17 armor breaks this match out of 46 blocks. That's a lot of blocks with what else gave up. Wonder if they were trying some cheeky cage dives or something funky happened. Let me peek at the dice rolls here. Yeah, that's the funky. That's always my go-to look. Succeeded 2 of 5 pickups for the Wood Elves. So if you're dropping the ball, you're going to be taking extra punches, as we've already said. Yeah, so Wave making good performance so far and beating up these Wood Elves and everybody else pretty much. The only team that they lost to was NPA's Rats. And NPA does have a disgusting rat team, so I think that's forgivable. See how he does against some of the harder hitting teams as we go forward. Gloom and Zoom took on New Year Norse, and in true typical fiction fashion, we got the removal show. This is a little bit more, I guess, what we're used to, with 18 armor breaks resulting in 9 removals on 39 blocks. Fiction's dice just never let them down. And the champion is continuing to cling together the pieces of his Norseman champions and throw them onto the pitch just a little bit longer. One more season.
It's always one more season, one more game as Norse.
Yeah.
Play them like they're disposable. You just got to get used to stepping over as many bodies as you need to win.
Well, and he's got his celebrities that he keeps alive, but everybody else is definitely, on borrowed time.
Can't keep them all alive if
Yeah.
you only have the one Apo.
Yep, exactly. We can call it a game, I suppose, on a technicality. Howl at the Moon played Brazzers, and there was a dead werewolf.
Oh. Was this the fresh new werewolf?
It was the fresh new werewolf.
It was my baby wolf.
So,
well, that'll happen.
To explain the full context, because there was an article written about it on the Wikipedia.
Stupid ass wolf.
Rumble had a couple of inducement options, seeing as I was giving him the world. I think it was 470k.
Something like that.
He did not want to go with a star player like Cheney. He went with a wizard, 2 babes, and a bribe, I believe. And so turn 1, was it turn 1 or turn 2? Where your actually leveled wolf went for the blitz and then decided that he was going to dodge away. But he wasn't so committed to the dodge away and cast himself. I think it was turn 1. Wasn't it turn 1?
Yeah, it was turn 1.
Yeah, turn 1. So turn 1 werewolf down. This is looking good.
You need to start having better turn ones. Like that could really tie your whole game together.
So I get a shot on his naked werewolf who's just left alone defending the wing. And it's a KO. And I get the option of piling on. And I say to myself, well, he did buy 2 babes. I might as well pile on. And then I heard that sound, and I felt a little bad. Yeah, that sound.
Not bad enough.
I mean, it was the rookie one. Like, if it was the strength 4 one, I would have no feelings of guilt. But the rookie one, that's just, that's insult to injury there. But anyway, at that point, I couldn't blame Rumblebee for being a little tilted, and I just farmed some SPP on my Black Orc. But Rumblebee should be pleased to hear that it didn't matter what I farmed on that Black Orc, because, and I knew this going into this next match, I had to level up on him. I could choose Mighty Blow, I could choose Guard, or I could choose Block. Wouldn't matter. He wasn't going to live. And sure enough, Sace killed him on turn 14 or 15, something stupid. But armor busted into dead. So all that hard work of leveling up the Black Orc against you, Rumblebee, is completely wasted.
Good. Let that be a lesson to teams that farm me. I will stick Stace on you.
Okay, fair enough. I'll remember to farm you less greedily next time. At least, hopefully, maybe someday I'll get a schedule that doesn't involve Sace right before I play the number 1 team. That would be nice. But Eat Man Things took the win over Tadpoles in the Big City, and NPA has been sneaking some wins. He's on a bit of a streak right now. Somebody needs to do something about that 1 turn. Agi 5 leap. Gutter Runner. Anyone? Bueller? Please? Kill him.
Lightning bolt.
Yeah, a lot of those. Lots of lightning bolts.
They fixed the lightning bolt now. Now it's not double mighty blow no matter what.
God.
Oh.
In hindsight, that's one of those things where everybody's like,
fix.
I know. I think everybody's like, I wish I bought more lightning bolts. What was I thinking? Yeah. God.
I think they fixed the chainsaw loner bug too.
They did.
They did.
That's gonna at least lead to some more attrition, I would hope. We'll see. We'll see. I think I had that happen to me.
Yeah, at the end of this season, my dirty player Looney can go up on the market, so that'll be fun.
Isn't he also niggled?
Is there?
No, he's move busted and armor busted. He's a halfling with a chainsaw.
I can see why they allowed it on the market. I'm not gonna lie. I can definitely see why anyone would still pick that up. Steve took the 1-0 win over Three Mountains. And Necronomics got the 2-1 win over the Pastry Pest. This one I was looking forward to, but it just looks like Lumi's armor has not been holding up very well. 20
It's
armor
been a rough
breaks.
season for Pastry Pests.
It has 11 removals on 35 blocks. They're getting removed and they're getting perms, and he's not able to kind of keep up with the pace of the injuries. And he's not able to dish it back out either. So I actually watched this one live, and I could hear the exact moment that Lumi's playoff plans were kind of crumbled when the Skaven, he had a Claw Skaven Storm Vermin that was just, he was trying to level it up for, I think, the last, season and a half now, since his 2 Storm Vermin died in the same game. And he had a great game, the Storm Vermin with Claw. He got 2 casualties, leveled up, and was doing work. And the Mighty Blow one, with Mighty Blow and Tackle, died. Apoed, dead. And then right after that, the Storm Vermin with Claw died. Or did I get that wrong? Let me look at the team. I forget which one it was. But anyway, again, both Storm Vermin took crippling injuries. It was, I think one of them was dead and one of them was armor bust or niggle. You know this. Yep. Okay, so it was the Mighty Blow one. He took a agility bust and he appoed it into dead. And he didn't choose the dead. He just took the agility bust. And he was mad, okay, I gotta fire this guy. And then, with no apple left, the Claw one that had leveled up that game to finally get Mighty Blow died. Outright. So now the agility one has kept his spot on the team, at least until another Storm Vermin can level up and take his place. And then finally we had Animal Farm took on Rats Off to Ya, and Golgothan got the win there, 2-1. Unable to collect a Troll Toll in this match. Sace saved up all his energy. He got 20 armor breaks, only 1 casualty, 6 KOs, and he saved up that energy for our match week 6, but we won't be covering that today. I've talked about that one enough, seeing as that's not the week that we're covering. So we'll kind of skip that one. Taking a peek at the leaderboard. Right now, Necronomics are in first place, but we have not yet seen Duberman or Wave play. So my guess is that one of those 2 teams will surpass Horny Cricket and myself to take sole possession of first. Behind us, we've got Fiction, Chaos Bulu, Ninja Pirate, Robot Assassin, Golgothan, and Yayo all in playoff contention. This is 5 seeds in Division 1, so pretty much everyone that shows up and tries can get a playoff seed, as long as they, roll some good dice. And on the outside looking in, needing a lot of favors and luck, got Lumi, Ornan, so the 2 champions right there. Sace, the not a champion, and 130 and Rumblebee bringing up the rear. And at 0-0-5, I think 130 and Rumblebee, I can pretty safely say you guys are out at this point.
Don't call it a comeback.
Would that be
I can still storm.
Wins, 7 wins? 7 straight wins?
I can do it.
More reasonable, I think. I would like you to, hurt somebody. If you could do that, that'd be great.
With what? With what?
Bribes?
I've got
chainsaws.
Chainsaws. I'm not even gonna buy a second wolf.
I know.
I'm just gonna induce Cheney every game.
Yep, Cheney. You learned your lesson. That's good. Cheney.
Cheney's so
Bribe,
good.
Chainsaw. And maybe a wizard. That's all you need.
Yeah, just thousands and thousands of golden inducements. And looking at
Chainsaws
the
and
schedule, that is exactly what you're going to get.
Exactly. You're playing Skink Island Boys next. They are sitting at what, 2,000 TV?
A little less.
1920. And you're at 1470. So yeah, that's a chainsaw, a wizard, and a bribe. There you go.
But I don't want a chainsaw, a wizard, and a bribe.
You could induce Hemlock.
I don't think he can get Hemlock, can he?
Oh no, he can't. Never mind.
What's the stabby skeleton?
I don't know who the stabby skeleton is. I know there's Helmet, but he's the chainsaw. I don't remember the stabby skeleton.
Yeah, you remember the good one.
I can get Ram Tut.
Yeah!
Ram Tut is not going to injure anybody. I want the chainsaw. You have a movement 10 skink
not
to
injure
kill.
somebody with a name like Ram Tut?
Movement 10 skink. That is your target.
Yeah, that's what the lightning bolt's for.
Yeah, that's something. That's definitely something.
Yeah, you're just gonna bolt him the turn.
Turn one lightning bolt. That's
the turn. Your first turn you receive, and bolt the skink on defense.
I've actually seen some really scummy turn one lightning bolts in Rebels, so that would be. I don't think I've ever seen it in Div 1, so that could be a first for you, Rumblebee.
I already told Wave that's exactly what I'm gonna do.
Turn one lightning bolt on your movement 10.
Well, then he's gonna keep him off the pitch. So
I guess that's a win-win.
Yeah.
So what the rule should be is if you're offense and on turn one only when receiving the ball, you can bolt somebody on the sideline. That should be totally allowed.
It's a good rule. I mean, why would the wizard even care if they're on the sideline or not? It's a wizard.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at Skink Island Boys since we already looked at one turning lizard team. I don't think I looked at them last week. Maybe I did. You've got the one turner with sprint and sidestep, so he doesn't have sure feet. I guess there's one potential flaw in that play. We've got a Agi 4 movement busted Blodge Skink, which is pretty stupidly good. And that's going to actually help with the one turn play, because if you have to make a pass with a skink, what better skink to do it than an Agi 4 one? You've got Blodge diving tackle and a sidestep diving tackle. The one thing I will critique Wave on, and he's the birth of a meme of himself, the It's a Skink meme, for those of you that have seen that, spammed a million times, was based on Wave appoing a skink. And not a special skink, just a skink. So he
didn't even have any skills, if I remember. It was
just skink lives
just
matter.
dodge and stunty.
Skink lives matter supporter Wave here. Really looking out for those little guys. So he's got a lot of bloat, basically, is what I'm trying to say on his skinks. The Saurus, though, look phenomenal. Croxagor's, using a little love. He's nothing special, but Frenzy, break tackle, tackle block. I love that Saurus. Doesn't need mighty blow. He's just going to hunt down the ball and get dice on it. He's got a palm block tackle Saurus. Get that removal game going. Because palm is just in vogue on lizards these days. And then he's got the mandatory 3 guard, and that's what I was going to say. So this is what Grizoot doesn't have. In addition to that mighty blow, is he's got 3 guard, and that allows him to do well in the bash up matchup. Lizards without guard can get into a scrum and just get surrounded by orcs with guard or dwarves with guard and get punished for it. So having 3 guard means that if you do get into a fight like that, you can actually outstrength your way into getting 2-die blocks.
It's always satisfying to take a 2-die block against a lizard.
Yep.
Because they never expect it.
They're definitely not built for it.
I'm strength 4. I'm dead. Makes me so happy.
Yeah. And they don't have the bench either, so if you can actually get a couple Saurus off the pitch, they suck. It's a different team when they're down to 4 Saurus.
Oh, absolutely.
You just get any skink you want at that point. The other team that we will take a quick peek at... who have we not looked at? Did we talk about Steve? Do you know Rumblebee? Or Horny Cricket? Let's talk about Horny Cricket. You want to talk about Horny Cricket already. Shooty, so let's look at them. Hate My Hair, the Niggled Palm Tackle Pro Jump Up Werewolf. Try saying all that 3 times fast. And then Horny Soul, Agi 4, Sure Hands, Blodge. No injuries on that one. He keeps that one pretty safe. Frank, the original Frank, the one and only Frank, at 89 of 176 SPP. Turnkenstein.
The original Frank, yeah.
He is the original Frank.
66 matches.
Yeah. That is Frank to rule all Franks.
He's also been cast 7 times, which is pretty great.
Pretty good survival considering. I mean, he's got regen.
Regen.
So, yeah. Regen does things every now and then. I think
regen's a lie.
I think he's due for a tax day. He's got the Niggled Wolf, so I think that was a warning shot from the IRS. I think
is Cheese's -1 foul.
The Cheese negative IRS foul was an IRS warning that his taxes are due, and if he doesn't pay them soon, there may be a price, maybe a deadline.
I do like his zombie setup.
Right?
It's really the only time I'd want Fend on a zombie, or the only time that I think it would matter. It's like, hey, now you freed up my dirty player. Thanks, bro.
Exactly.
And then everything else doesn't matter because they're zombies.
And they're just trim. I mean, he's at 1920 SPP, but it's in all of the right places. So the other Necro team that we looked at earlier, Doc M's team, the skills were lopsided. There was, an unskilled rookie white, and just not a lot of development on anybody up top, but all the development on the bottom. Well, down here, there's almost no development on the bottom half, and everything's very top heavy. So that's the right way to play Necro. It's to build them tall, not to build them wide. That's why they're going to suck in the World Cup qualifiers.
Yeah, when you have no control.
Well, just one skill per player. What's one skill that you're going to put on a werewolf to make it effective? Dick.
Mighty Blow.
So, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, I'm just looking at this because Necronomics have 220 TV spent on zombies. And let's see, 100, 200, 270, 330, 480 zombie TV on Murderer's Row.
That's perfect, right? That's a good example of bloat.
Delicious.
Bloat. And the Doc M's doing really well with all that bloat included. Just imagine how much better he'd be doing and just dominating.
I mean, yeah, I can talk mad garbage about them all the way down from Div 9. I wonder if I can speak loud enough for him to hear me. So
It's true. It's true. Well, and if it's working, why fix it? But you can definitely look to a champion Necro on the Necronomics and take some advice. Don't purge the bloat from the bottom, not the top. Don't do the Rumblebee approach.
Every week.
I like how the sigh was audible. Hey man, if you didn't want it, you shouldn't have let him die first match of the season.
I didn't let him die. Oh,
you let him die.
You're unbelievable.
He had a family, Rumblebee. How could you do that to Ron?
You stood by and just watched.
I loved that wolf.
And we made you watch.
I made it a part of the intro, so he sees it every week.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Oh,
That's all I got, guys. I guess did we look at the leaderboard? Yeah, we did look at the leaderboard. We talked about that already. We talked about those teams. Next week's matchups. Well, Sneaky Island Boys. So we talked about them. So Rumblebee, you've got your work cut out for you. ED8 Man Things taking on Gloom and Zoom. That'll be a ridiculous team meets unstoppable dice. That'll be fun. Steve takes on Live Tree or Die Hard. So Huberman will get to play the doggies and see if he can beat Necro. And Rats Off to you versus Tadpoles in the Big City. 130's been in a bit of a slump. I would love it if he woke up and just beat the stuff out of Golgothan. That would be great. That's all I got, guys. Anything else that you want to say before we take off?
Not really.
All right.
Stop skipping your games. Stop missing your games. I say that as someone who's like traveling for 2 or 3 weeks during the season this year, but don't miss them.
Yeah, buys are bad. No buys. Cool. All right. Well, thanks for coming, Shooty.
Bring more people. Don't forget the new player bounty we have coming.
Yes, the new player bounty
has been announced. If any of you missed it, you can gain a REBBL mug, and you don't even have to lose a tournament and then win another one like I did.
You have a mug?
I have a mug. I won the Chaos Cup. I won the Chaos Bucket this year.
Oh.
Staying up for like 14 hours.
Damn. That's nice. That's impressive. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's glorious and durable, and everyone can have one if they just get 3 people to join and play at least 3 games.
Well, I'll remember that, and I can introduce you as Chaos Cup winner of cups.
Woohoo! Well, I didn't win the Chaos Cup. I lost the Chaos Cup.
You won the losers bracket.
Yeah, I won the loser bracket.
I see. So, Chaos Cup winner of losers cups. Got it.
Yes.
Got it.
Precisely.
All right. Rumblebee, always a pleasure. Thanks for joining and taking your weekly beating.
Yeah. It's all right. All I need is one big break, guys.
I know you. That's the thing. You're gonna have 1 week where you just, and I'm praying it wasn't me. That's why I'm so relieved when we played and it went the way it went, because I know that one game this season you were going to just completely steamroll somebody and just have the best game, and it wasn't against me, so I can still talk
maybe
crap.
New Year Norse. That's whose ocean he can blow up.
It needs to happen. I'm at like -15 Cavs right now.
Yeah, you're not going to beat many tiebreakers that way.
Like, this is unsustainable, guys.
Yeah.
It's just the law of averages. At some point, you're going to have to get good dice.
At some point, my team is going to explode, and I'm just going to delete somebody.
Oh, it happened this game.
You got to schedule your match for the exact same time that Gloom and Zoom plays, and that way the Necro dice can just, by transference, give you some of the ungodly good dice.
Wouldn't it be great if I steamrolled Fiction?
That would also be good, but I would probably not bet on that happening, because
oh god, no, that's not going to happen.
I think you're better odds of winning the lottery.
Anything can happen in Blood Bowl.
Except Fiction.
Didn't you see that documentary about Blood Bowl with Al Pacino? Any Given Sunday?
Oh, maybe that was the deleted scenes. I don't recall. All right, guys. Thanks for being here. We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks for having me.
Have a good one.